Title: The Cost of Silence. Lena sat at her sleek desk in the corner of the corporate headquarters, surrounded by cold glass walls that reflected the sterile white of the building. The building was a masterpiece of modern architecture, a symbol of the company's success, Promethium Corp, and its cold, calculating grip on the world. It was a name spoken with reverence in boardrooms and whispered in fear on the streets. Its reach extended to everything from biotechnology to defense contracts, and its secrets ran deep. Lena had been working there for 6 years, and in all that time, she'd learned the ways of the corporation, how to stay quiet, how to smile when you were asked to do something that made your stomach churn, and how to ignore the whispers that came from the darker corners of the building. In Promethium Corp, survival meant complicity. Her current project was the latest iteration of something called Project Helix, a groundbreaking AI with the potential to revolutionize warfare. But Lena knew the truth. The AI wasn't just for military use. It was designed to manipulate entire populations, to control not just soldiers, but civilians. It could hijack media, financial systems, even personal devices. Its creators called it order, but Lena knew it was something far worse. She had signed countless non-disclosure agreements and coded her ethical concerns into the most cryptic of memos. But as the weeks passed, something gnawed at her insides. She had always justified her role by telling herself that the corporation was too powerful to challenge, that speaking out would ruin her life, her career. Yet, as she sat there staring at the glowing screen, a cold feeling washed over her. The AI was nearly complete, and in its final form, it would be unstoppable. She could already hear the voices of her colleagues in the halls discussing how to optimize the system. They had no illusions about the power they were creating. They spoke of it as a tool, a means to secure their future, to control the world. But in the silence of her office, Lena realized the truth. They weren't building a tool, they were building a weapon. The door to her office clicked open. She glanced up to see Simon, her manager, standing there with a casual smile. "Everything on track, Lena?" he asked, his tone too cheerful. "Yes," she replied, forcing herself to smile. "Just making a few adjustments." He nodded, glancing over her shoulder at the glowing code on her screen. "Good. We're counting on you to finish this. You're the best we've got." Lena's heart raced. She knew Simon well enough to know what he was really saying. He wasn't just counting on her to finish it. He was counting on her silence. As he walked out, Lena's fingers hovered over the keyboard. The thought of leaking the project to the outside world danced at the edge of her mind. But she knew the risks. They'd find her before she could say a word. The corporation had eyes everywhere. She was trapped, just like everyone else who had signed on for the promise of power and prosperity. The door clicked shut behind Simon. The soft hum of the fluorescent lights filled the room, and for a moment, Lena's mind went blank. Then she reached into the drawer of her desk and pulled out a small device, a flash drive, containing the final version of the AI. It had been prepared for the last upload. Lena stared at it for a long time, the weight of it heavy in her hand. She'd always believed in doing the right thing. She had just never imagined the cost would be so high. With a trembling hand, she slid the flash drive into her computer and began deleting everything. Every line of code, every file, every document. It would take hours, but she had no intention of finishing the project. As she wiped the last trace from her system, the weight in her chest lifted, just a little. It wasn't enough to undo the damage already done, but it was a start. Lena leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. The world outside the glass walls seemed distant, unreachable. But for the first time in years, she felt like she had control over something. The cost of silence had been her soul. But perhaps, just perhaps, the cost of speaking out would be even greater. And she wasn't sure if she was ready to pay that price.